And today's movie starts in the summer of 1965, and Walt and Laura Bishop live on the New England island with their 3 young sons and their 12-year-old girl Suzy, who's very troubled and secretive and solitary and prone to fits of violence. An old man appears on the screen to tell us the island will have a massive storm which will happen in a few days' time. On the other side of the island, Troop 55 of the Khaki Scouts is spending the summer at Camp Ivanhoe. Scoutmaster Randy leads his camp and he starts his day by monitoring the camp and making sure everybody's there. He calls everybody for breakfast but notices Sam is missing. He rushes to his tent and finds it empty with a hole in the back of it which Sam used to escape the night before. He finds a note left by Sam resigning from the scouts and stealing a canoe and a bunch of supplies. Randy sends the remaining scouts to look for Sam and calls Captain Sharp, and Captain Sharp informs Sam's family of the situation. But he learns that Sam's birth family are dead and that his foster family don't really want Sam back. Just like Suzy, Sam is thought to be a troubled child and has gone from one family to the next, and he is not like any of his peers, including the Boy Scouts. Sam and Suzy have secretly been writing to each other for months after they met backstage at a play at St. Jack's Church, and after that event they really got drawn to each other immediately and have planned to escape together. During the day they travel through the forest and go fishing for food and make a campsite for the night. And as they spend the day together, the more fond of each other they became. Later that night, Suzy's parents finally notice that she's missing and discover her plan from a shoebox full of letters she exchanged with Sam. I would have personally burnt the letters after I left, but hey, some people are just slobs and they leave evidence behind. Anyways, from the letters, we see how their life was before, and they both express unhappiness, and we see Sam while living with his foster parents, and he always got abused and bullied by his foster brothers, and this is because they all thought that he was weird. Suzy also feels misunderstood at school and overlooked at home, and doesn't really get along with any of the girls her age. Okay, so back to the present, Laura sends Walt with Captain Sharp, with whom Laura is having an affair with, to find Suzy, and they have an awkward drive as they look for the missing kids. By the way, Walt is very suspicious that Laura might be sleeping around. The next morning, Suzy and Sam wake up and notice from afar the Boy Scouts who are looking for them. Sam has been covering their tracks, but the other scouts still manage to get close to them. Sam takes Suzy through the woods but finds themselves surrounded by the Boy Scouts who've all brought weapons. Sam warns them not to get closer, but the leader goes to attack them and triggers a trap that shoots an arrow which actually misses him and kills the camp dog Snoopy. But he also couldn't get close as Suzy stabs him with her scissors. The scouts all run away carrying their wounded member and go back to the station to report what happened. The injured scout is taken for medical treatment and everyone gets into a heated argument as the Bishops blame Randy for letting an insane kid to take their daughter. The old man from the opening appears in front of them and he tells them that he has been a former teacher of Sam and suggests that they search a cove, a small sheltered bay found in the shoreline of a sea or a river. That's what a cove is. And at the other side of the island, Sam has expressed an interest in retracing a Native American migration route there. Suzy and Sam set up camp at the cove and they bond some more while swimming and dancing on the beach and sharing their first kiss. With each other, of course. Sam makes a pair of earrings for Suzy out of green beetles and fish hooks, which Suzy happily accepts, and they talk more throughout the evening, sharing their desires for their future and their views on family. Sam paints a portrait of Suzy, and Suzy reads stories from her book until they fall asleep. The next morning, they are awoken by Captain Sharp, Scoutmaster Randy and Suzy's parents, and the scouts who have finally tracked them down. With nowhere to run, Sam is taken to the station while Suzy goes back home. She is told she will never see Sam and she threatens her dad, claiming a crazy person might do something unexpected. Sam reads a letter from his foster family making it clear that he could not return to live with them, and now homeless, Sam is temporarily taken in by Captain Sharp, who develops a bond with the intelligent young outsider. Sharp and Randy speak to a representative of social services who informs them that due to Sam's history of troubling behavior, he will have to be placed in juvenile refuge and possibly undergo shock therapy. Sharp is shocked with the extreme punishment, especially hearing that Sam might get shock therapy. I think that's the one where they electrocute you until you behave or something. Yeah. Back at the camp, everyone is talking about Sam, and one of them stands up and gives an emotional speech about how Sam doesn't deserve the hate that he's probably getting, because all of this is because he's weird and because he lost his real parents. The scouts then agree to help Sam and devise a plan to get him back together with Suzy. They first gather gather supplies from the camp and go to Suzy's house to sneak her out, and thankfully no one was watching her as Walt was outside cutting trees and Laura has left to meet up with Sharp to end their relationship. Anyways, Sharp is heartbroken but accepts the breakup and wishes her the best. The scouts, now with Suzy, go to Sam's place and they get him out in the middle of the night, and they travel through the river to arrive at Fort Lebanon where another bigger Boy Scout exists. They plan to meet with one of the scouts' older cousin named Ben and to help him get off the island for a low payment. When they get there, they discreetly meet with Ben and Sam and Suzy explain their situation to cousin Ben. They tell him that they're in love and that they want to get married, and cousin Ben, having quasi-official authority to do so, agrees to marry them, which will have no legal standing technically since they're minors, but it will definitely have some emotional significance. And so he marries them in the camp's chapel for 75 nickels, but gives it back after feeling bad for them, and the newlyweds then board a sailboat and are now about to make their escape, but Suzy realizes that she left her binoculars behind. Sam rushes back to get them, but is confronted by the scout who Suzy stabbed the day before. And this scout is holding on to Suzy's binoculars, and they stare off, and Sam breaks the silence, asking him why he hates him. He replies it's because everybody else hates him, and Sam finally snaps and attacks the scout and takes the binoculars, but he screams calling for help, which is heard by the Fort Lebanon scouts, and the rest of the scouts of Troop 55 start to get chased by the other scouts. At the same time, the predicted storm was coming, and Sam stops at a hill to hold his ground, but is then struck by lightning. But he miraculously survives, and they continue their run. Scoutmaster Randy arrives at Fort Lebanon in search of his missing troops, and the high-ranking commander in charge of the scouts is outraged by Randy's incompetence and strips him of his title. The commander then goes to his office to get his supplies, but his office gets flooded by water that broke from a small dam. This injures him heavily, and Randy takes back control and prepares the camp for evacuation as the storm is now in full swing. Back on the main island, Sam and Suzy were passing the storm hiding in a church, but Randy, Captain Sharp, Suzy's parents, and the social services representatives who'd arrived that morning to collect Sam have also arrived at the church for refuge. The social service people and Captain Sharp are having a heavy argument about what will happen to Sam, and Sharp argues that juvenile refuge is harsh and tells the woman that he won't let her take Sam if she doesn't change her mind. While arguing, they notice Sam and Suzy, who are wearing disguises, and they quickly run to the roof. Worried that they could die on the outside, Captain Sharp scrambles for a solution. He knows that Sam and Suzy are running away so that they don't get separated again, and he asks social services if Sam could be allowed to stay with him on the island as he feels connected with him, and Sam can have a good father, and he will also be able to live near Suzy. But the representatives initially refuse because Sharp is not married. However, Suzy's parents, both lawyers, assure that there is no legal reason to prevent the arrangement. Sharp then climbs to the roof where Sam and Suzy were holding each other, trying not to fall from the strong storm, and when they see Sharp, they assume that he's trying to catch them and they prepare to jump. Knowing this could end their lives, they say their final goodbyes, but Sharp tells Sam that he's not there to catch them and offers Sam to live with him. Sam agrees, but before they can climb down to safety, the roof is hit with lightning, and Sam and Suzy dangle over the rising flood held by Sharp. And he manages to pull them up and they are both brought to safety. And sometime later, Suzy is at home again, but Sam visits her daily, and Sam is living with Sharp, who's finally treating him as his real son. Sam finally has a real family and wants to be a police officer and spends his days training under Sharp. Back at the camp, Scoutmaster Randy has gotten his job back, and he's also found someone he loves and lives happily, and we see him welcoming new recruits of Troop 55. And in the last scene of the movie, we see a close-up of a painting Sam had done of the cove where he and Suzy stayed during their adventure, and they decided that they didn't like the name of the island and planned to think of a new one, and we see the name spelled out with rocks on a beach of the cove, and they called it Moonrise Kingdom. And this is how this movie comes to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. Make sure to leave me a like, leave me a comment, and also subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I promise to see you guys on my next recap. Bye!